Over the past few months, I've had some crazy insights on what it takes to be really successful. In the past, I used spiritual principles to unlock my success, but there's a recognition in me that I am still limited in some ways when it comes to success and wealth creation. And those have been unfolding over time. But in the last month or so, these founding kind of principles that I think are critical for success have been flooding into my awareness. And so what I did was I created this like manifesto or these 10 insights that I think if you are able to understand these 10 insights, you can have whatever it is that you want. You will become completely unlimited. And so before I get into these insights, I want you to move into this video with an intention. And because without an intention, what will happen is that this will become just more information. And this channel is about going beyond just entertainment and taking knowledge and combining it with implementation. So the implementation part starts right now. I want you to, as you listen to me walk through these 10 insights, I want you to find the one that resonates with you most. Some of them you're going to be like, I got this. Some of them you're okay at, and some of them you're probably just terrible at, or they're not even in your awareness. And once you come to these realizations, once you set this intention, that one that you pick out, that is going to be the one that I want you to bring more awareness to. I want you to start noticing it. I want you to start digging into why it keeps showing up so that you can get to the root of why this limitation is here for you so that you can transcend it for good. So this is where we begin right from the get-go, is we set the intention to figure out which one of these 10 insights is going to be where you're going to hold your focus. My name is David Haas, and this channel is dedicated to knowledge meeting implementation. I've spent the last 20 years of my life trying to uncover why I am the way that, and through that, I've unlocked the limitations to health, wealth, and happiness, for lack of a better term. And so if you're ready to move beyond just knowledge and move into implementation so you can create real change, this is the space for you. Okay, so let's move into these 10 insights with this idea that you're going to hold in mind the one that really sticks out. So the first one is you have to set an intention. You have to believe it's possible. So I love using this example because I recently came to the awareness that my intentions to grow my YouTube channel, for example, were while I was taking action. I was releasing videos. I was doing all the things. I had goals to grow my business. There was no actual intention. I was just taking action consistently without intention. And so to set an intention is to say, this is what I want to do. And you have to believe it is possible. So you have to believe it's possible from an unconscious level as well as a conscious level. So consciously, I think I can grow this YouTube channel to 1 million subscribers. Unconsciously, inside of me, there's a little bit of doubt because I don't clearly see how that path will unfold for me. What I do believe is that I can grow this YouTube channel to 1,000 subscribers. I think I can do that pretty easily, and I've been on a path to doing that. And so with that intention that I truly believe, that intention has moved me into consistent intentional action. And when you do this, when you set an intention, you will automatically be pulled towards that intention. And if you don't have a clear intention, you could be taking all of the action in the world and getting nowhere. So we want to set clear intentions that we believe are possible. The second step is kind of what I already touched upon, is we want to take consistent, intentional action. And I've always done this with this principle called the 5 circles principle. I don't even remember where I heard it, so I'm probably stealing it for somebody, but it's essentially a way to just make sure that you are constantly moving towards what you want out of life. And so what does the 5 principles look like really quickly? 5 circles look like, you create one circle, and I don't even do the circles, I just write it out. But you create one circle, which is my life. What do you want out of your life? And here you want to be very unlimited. You don't want to limit yourself to restrictions of what you think is possible. And so, my life, if I look at my life, it's like pretty simple. It's like, I want health, wealth, and I want enlightenment. Like these are the things that are the things that I'm after the most. And so in that designing of my life, I've kind of laid out what each one of those things would look like. What kind of house I want to live in? How much wealth do I want to have? What do my businesses look like? What do my relationships look like? And to say, if I were able to achieve this, I would be living the life of my dreams. So I list out everything in my life. And then every year on January, I say, what needs to happen this year? What are the major things that need to happen this year to move me closer to my life goals? And then every month, I say, what has to happen in the month of January, if we're in January? What happens to happen in the month of January to move me towards my life goals, right? Or towards my yearly goals. And then once a week on Sunday, I look at my monthly list, I pull tasks from that monthly list and I put them into my daily calendar. And I just do this with Google Calendar. And so things that get scheduled are things that get done. And so this keeps you aligned with this consistent growth. So you're essentially taking your life goal and you're breaking it down into a consistent daily action. Success is actually insanely simple, right? It's just about doing small, consistent, and I would add intentional action every single day. If you do that, it is literally impossible for you to lose. So step 2 is taking intentional, consistent action using the 5 circles principle. Step 3, this has been a big realization for me recently, and probably, I think, especially for the nice guys out there, the greatest limitation to growth, which is having the ability to call it like it is, even if people don't like you. And so when you don't do this, you end up beating around the bush, sugarcoating things, kicking the can down the road, and always, with inevitability, those things come back to bite you in the ass. And it prevents you from moving forward. It prevents you from growth. And it's all about a fear of being disliked, right? And so if we can learn to lean into the fear of people not liking us, then we can begin to be okay in speaking our truth. And when you speak your truth, you're more respected, and also you're serving people more. If you have friends or employees and you are sugarcoating things, they're not getting to know the true you, and people see right through that bullshit, right? And so in learning how to speak your truth and being okay in the discomfort that truth causes other people, as well as you, that's how we begin to really move forward. And ever since I've come to this awareness, like the flooding in of people not liking me has been like just flowing in from some of the Facebook posts and everything. And this is exactly why having intentions is important, because when we recognize, hey, I need to start dealing with this, the universe or God or whatever you want to believe in just provides that discomfort to you in abundance. So you can say, oh yeah, you think you're ready to face this? Well, here it all is. Now, are you actually going to face the thing you've been avoiding your whole entire life? And that's kind of what I've been going through now. But I do recognize that even in being in all of this, I am breaking free from it. And it is beginning to feel, even though it's discomfort, even though it's uncomfortable, it's beginning to feel empowering. And that's what I'm most excited about. So call it like it is, even if people hate you for it. I think it should probably be number 1 for me personally, but it's at number 3. Number 4 is cultivate humility. And this is essentially recognizing that in the grand scheme of things that we know nothing. And when we have humility, we basically are open to learning from everyone that we meet at all times. So essentially we become a good listener. We really want to sit back and speak less and listen more, because in every single person that we meet, there could be some little piece of information that we pull from that conversation that may help us propel ourselves towards our intentions and towards our goals. So we want to just recognize that we don't have all of the answers. And this is like, everyone thinks they have humility, but you really have to pay attention to when you're being the know-it-all, right? There may be instances in your life where you're being the know-it-all, and you have to observe that, because that know-it-all type of person is blocking him or herself from further realizations that may propel them forward in their lives. So we want to have humility, basically move into every conversation and every interaction like we know nothing. Step 5 is essentially the work that I do, which is learning how to let go and uncovering every emotional trigger. So if we are being triggered emotionally in our workplace, in our relationships, financially, if we get in arguments with our spouse and we are being triggered, if other people are triggering, if we're blaming people, whatever the emotional trigger is, we want to begin to look within and undo that emotional trigger through the process of letting go, because those triggers are our greatest limitations. And circling back to number 3, if I had to have a difficult conversation with somebody, that would be triggering to me. And even though it's not like triggering like anger, it would create discomfort. I would be emotionally triggered. And if I don't have the awareness to look at that emotional trigger continues to be a limitation in my life. So what we want to do is we want to become hyper aware of all of the emotional triggers in us. And we want to say, what is that trigger protecting us from feeling? And if we can get to the root of that and we can lean in towards that pain, then the emotional trigger goes away, as well as the limitation. Step 6 is focus. There's a book that you can read out there. It's called The One Thing. It's probably one of the greatest books that I've ever read. And it's about the power of focus. And I think one of the things that people miss when it comes to focus is that as you begin to focus on one thing, for example, I'm focusing on growing my YouTube channel right now, and you're watching this, it's a testament to the work of focus. In the beginning, when you focus on something, you're going to experience really good results. But then there's a tendency to get into this thing, which I coined a long time ago, which is called finish line syndrome, which is to steer your focus somewhere else as you have moderate success in one area. And I'm actually going to get into this in a later step, but we want to have laser-like focus, and we don't want to be pulled from that that focus until we reach our goal or until we achieve the intention that we've set out to achieve. When we do that, then we can start to look at a broader picture, but we can't let our focus be shaken. We want to avoid that shiny object syndrome. Opportunities are all around us, but what we need to learn how to do to be successful in anything is to learn how to say no to all of those opportunities and stay laser-like focused on the task at hand. Step 7 is also related to speaking your truth, but it's about being authentically you. This relates to integrity inwards and outwards. So we want to live a life of integrity. We don't want to tell lies. We don't want to cheat. We don't want to steal. But we also have to have integrity for ourselves. We can't change who we are because we're worried about what people think about us, right? When we do that, when we change who we are because we're worried about how it's going to affect other people, we are stepping out of our own personal integrity. And so when you become authentically you, when you just speak your truth, even if your voice shakes and even if people don't like you for it, what happens is people tend to trust you. They tend to like you. And this is how we build connections that help propel our lives forward. And this is how you build effortless connections. Networking and all this stuff, it's all bullshit, right? We want people to be drawn to us, and people are drawn to people that are truthful inside and out. Step 8 is patience. And so I think a lot of people struggle with impatience. And I think the recognition to break free from impatience is this, is that you want something out there so badly because you don't have it from within. If you want money so badly, you need it right now, it's because you're completely uncomfortable with where you currently are, which is in the state of lack, let's say, or in the state of suffering. And so you need to go get something out there, and you need to get it immediately. And every time a roadblock shows up and it gets in your way of getting that thing, you become frustrated, you become angry, you become defeated, you lose your motivation, and you maybe even stop what it is that you're doing. So when we're impatient, what we're saying is we can't handle the way we are. And what we want to do to undo impatience is lean towards the pain that we're currently in and say, can I handle this pain I'm in? If you're in the state of lack, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, just ask yourself, are you okay here? Can you handle this pain? And once you lean towards the pain, then we can begin to look at the bigger picture. And this is the biggest thing that impatience robs us from. It robs us from the bigger opportunities. If we're impatient, we're thinking small. We're looking at the thing that's right in front of us. We can't see past that goal that's right in front of us to the bigger goals and the bigger opportunities. Alex Hormozi says that if people were willing just to not get paid for a year, everyone would be insanely successful, but no one's willing to do that, right? Because they lack impatience. They need that immediate gratification to pull them out of the pain that they're currently in. So when we look at the pain, we can also step out of impatience, which will allow us to see bigger opportunities that exist. Step 9 is break through the boring. And this is kind of what I was touching on earlier with respect to focus. In the beginning, when you start doing things happen fast. If you decide to lose some weight, you're probably going to lose like 5 or 10 pounds really quickly. And you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Then you may have a tendency to try and do something else. I can give you my own example. Back in the day, I decided to get really ripped. I wanted to be 10% body fat, and I was like doing really well, and I was almost at my goal. And then I decided to completely shift everything that I had done and move to like an intermittent fasting type approach. And it completely threw me off track, right? It's like I didn't get all the way to the goal, and I started looking at a different, let's call it opportunity, or a different mechanism to get me there, right? And it completely threw everything off. And so what we want to do is we want to move towards a goal, and once it becomes boring or we start getting to a plateau, that's when we need to push harder. That's when we need to really dig in and get better at the finer details of this thing. I used to run a nightclub. I thought in order to make more money, I had to open up more nightclubs. But all I had to actually do to make more money, which I proved, was I had to get rid of everything else and stay laser-like focused on the one nightclub that I had and figure out how to do all of the boring things that made the experience for the customer better. And when I did that, my income went through the roof. We actually increased our sales by 30% a year for 7 years straight. This is the power that comes when we're willing to do the boring work. And this is why most people get pulled off of their focus, because it becomes less exciting. In the beginning, when you're creating, it's fun, there's energy in creation, there's motivation. But after you begin to have success, we start to lose that energy, we start to plateau, and it's very easy for us to lose focus because we don't want to do the boring work. And finally, step 10 is to recognize that we don't have to take all of this so serious, and we can see life as a game. Like, we're only here for such a small period of time, and so many of us get so serious in trying to get to some place. This is where I was trapped for the better part of my life. I thought I had to achieve some sort of goal to feel some sort of way. But the recognition is that I could undo why I felt the opposite of that way by doing this inner work, by looking within. And it could all be fun. I could release this stuff. Yeah, there's some dark moments. There's some stuff that you have to face that you have been avoiding your whole entire life. But just having a trust that it's all going to work out and that you're moving towards your highest potential. And if you've done this work and you've set an intention, you're going to be pulled towards that intention anyway. So you can just surrender to the unfolding of the universe that is moving you towards your highest good and trust that it's all going to work out. And in doing so, you can start having a little bit more fun, because for me, I was in this head down, I'm going to grind, I'm going to hustle, and I would be happy when I achieved success. But that was the thing that was preventing me from actually achieving success. So what I ended up doing was, unconsciously, I didn't realize I was doing it, I started undoing why I wasn't happy. As I became happy, I was now the state that I thought success or wealth would bring me. And that's when wealth and success began to flow into my life. And so we just got to have a little bit more fun. No one wants to be around someone that's so serious all the time. And this is something that I've suffered with for a long time, is that I've been so serious because I'm just so driven to achieve the life of my dreams. And if you want to be more joyful, we have to look at why we're not joyful now. So if you're super serious now, start asking yourself why, so that we can start becoming the state that we think the intention or the goal is trying will get us to, will make us feel once we achieve it. The action step, again, for this whole entire thing is you want to look at the one that is like, that is what I'm missing in my life. And that's for me, it's like the calling it like it is. Like, I'm like, that is my thing. And so what are you going to do with, well, all you have to do, again, is set an intention to begin undoing this thing. So every time, let's just use mine, I notice myself beating around the bush, sugarcoating things, not speaking my truth, I just want to notice it. Whether an hour later, a day later, or a week later, I just want to start bringing more awareness to when I'm not being authentically me, when I'm not speaking my truth. And then I want to ask myself, in that moment, whether it's a week or a day or in that moment, I want to ask myself, what was I avoiding by using that mechanism, using the behavior of not calling it like it is? What was I avoiding? Oh, I was avoiding hurting that person's feelings. I was avoiding the pain of that person not liking me. I was avoiding the discomfort of an awkward conversation. And then ask yourself, could I handle that pain? Would I be okay in that pain? And 99% of the time, the answer is going to be yes. And through this process of awareness, which is just noticing a behavior, looking within, connecting it potentially to a pain of the past where you felt uncomfortable when people didn't like you, or you felt the pain of being rejected as a kid, whatever it may be, and just asking yourself, are you willing to feel this? Just by that alone and having the intention to break free, you will be pulled towards removing this limitation for good. So that's the action step. Pick one. Don't just take all 10 of these. Use the power of focus. Let's work on one at a time and begin moving towards a life of true success. And I think these 10 principles are the thing that is required for anyone to achieve whatever it is they want, so that they can become unlimited. If you got any value from this video whatsoever, just hit that like and subscribe button to train the algorithm to show you more content just like this. Plus, it also helps me a lot, so I'd really appreciate it.